Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And I'm obliged to, I just had to. I tried to control it for like an hour or so, but more than an hour actually. I almost even forgot it until the whole subject came up again. So now, in the middle of one of the most interesting episodes of The Librarians, which, thankfully, is back with a new chapter. Thank you so much, because the one thing again that I have a problem with the American and the Western TV industry is they are shitting a lot of bad series and TV shows which are not even worth your time, and what with a bit of, K-drama lull going on, again, thanks to American money, ruining K-dramas for us. So this is a breath of fresh air that actually The Librarians, is back, because that was one of those good TV shows that one just enjoys watching. It's cozy, it's nice, it's fun, okay? And yet, this person has done my head in to this extent that I am obliged to pause in between the episode, the 5th episode, by the way, just to do this podcast, which I'm seriously not even in the mood to, but I have to before I forget it all, okay? Now, and this is the problem. There was this, as you know, recently, for some reason, there are a lot of vloggers who want to talk about the supermodel Yasmin Ghauri, right? And how she was, a supermodel for all the right reasons, and how she was, she's the pioneer, the one who paved the way for multi-ethnic models, to run the runway or to do the catwalk and everything, and how she set precedent in so many ways, and how she, never kind of abused or misused or whatever it is her fame the way other supermodels, decided to take full advantage of their fame and all that. I think it's because very, very recently, after a very long time, she suddenly appeared on, on social media, having met one of her very old colleagues, you can say, and friends from the modeling world, and how, she sort of talked again on her own social media. She posted a few posts, nostalgic posts, you can say, about her acknowledging her past. Let's put it this way: acknowledging her past career. I guess that is what has suddenly brought about everybody wanting to talk about her. So there were this very well put together vlog about her, and obviously her nationality was mentioned, that she's Pakistani, German, Canadian, right? Which is the right way to mention anybody's nationality and all. And then the thing that pissed almost everybody off in the comment section was that obviously you have to have an Indian coming in and saying, oh, are you talking about ethnicity or nationality? Because she is actually Indian. And people were like, get a life already, get a grip already. What's wrong with you? Not everything is about India, and not, it's pretty much clear that she is Pakistani, German, Canadian. That means that her father was a Pakistani and her mother was German. They moved to Canada, and so the nationality is Canadian. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly the Indians will now try to say, oh, Katrina Kaif, she's actually Indian. No, Katrina Kaif is the same story actually. She is half Pakistani, half British, Canadian. Okay, her father is a bona fide Pakistani from Karachi. Thank you very much. Now, don't try to say that, oh, because, listen, at least half the Pakistani population migrated from India, and at least, about a whole lot, at least between, 40, at least about 40% of the Indian population also shifted from Pakistan. Okay, what does that tell you? That tells you that a lot of movement until the 50s happened when the countries were born. Okay, when India got its independence one day after Pakistan, and India wreaked havoc during the movement when people were moving from India to Pakistan. Then the Indians, they committed a lot of mass murderers. They sent a lot of bloody trains Pakistan's way. A lot of people were killed. A lot of women were kidnapped. And those women were, kidnapped and rendered missing by none other than the Punjabi Sikhs, by the way, if we can go and revisit history all over again. So, yeah, don't talk to me about, ethnicity. And then there was another person who was trying to, because everybody was pissed off, but then there just had to be one person who was trying to justify what that Indian had said. And, that, oh, it's like this Israel Palestinian thing, it's like ethnicities and all. And I'm like, you know what? You made another mistake now. How dare you say it's an Israeli Palestinian thing? Because Israel Palestine also do not have the same ethnicities. Thank you very much. The Israelis are Europeans. They are Yiddish European Jews who decided, for political reasons, maneuvered by the British government and then later financed by both the British government and the British right hand man, which is the American establishment, in order to help them settle in Palestine. Now, Palestine does not need to be recognized as a state because Palestine is one of the oldest countries in the world. And it was always known as Palestine. Thank you very much. Always known as Palestine. Right from the times of the Jews. So don't you dare come and talk. And you know what? The bona fide native Arab Jews, they were already living very peacefully in Palestine. Okay? The so-called Israelis, the self-declared Orthodox authentic Jews, are not even Arabs. They're European Jews. Okay? They don't even belong to the land of Palestine. They are Europeans by race and by ethnicity. And in fact, if anything else, if you again look at the actual history, you will find out that they, in fact, also committed genocide against the original Arab Jews that were native to Palestine, as well as native to other African countries that they were first called from in order to help exploit the whole situation. So those innocent souls came to Palestine thinking, okay, maybe we're going back to a place where we can settle peacefully, and only to be killed by, again, their fellow Zionist Jews. So thank you very much. Before you go around crapping stuff out of your mouth, please learn history. Just pick up a book of P.K. Hitti to start with on the history of civilization, so that you actually know what's what regarding races and ethnicities. And then from there, you can go on to authentic history on the Jews of Palestine and the Zionist European Yiddish Jews of Europe, who are basically the white man. Okay, they're white. Israelis are not Arabs. They are white. They're Europeans. They're Caucasians. Okay? In fact, if anything, they have killed many of the Arab Jews who were living in Palestine as Palestinians, and they're still killing them. Okay? Similarly, you cannot claim somebody to be ethnically Indian because India was never one country. It's called the subcontinent for a reason. India was never one country. There were many warring states, and we call them warring states because they were always at war with each other. Okay? And why were they at war with each other? They were all different ethnic groups. And then, when the Muslims came and they conquered the subcontinent, they're the ones who made it one. They're the ones who made it into India as we know. The India that the British knew, the India that the British wanted to conquer so that the British could steal and loot and plunder and learn whatever they could so that they could come back to Europe and remove it from dark ages, okay? So, whatever you've got today, again, let me remind you, is because of the Muslims. And the Muslims are the ones who put together the whole subcontinent into one country. One peaceful country, okay? Obviously, there were ups and downs again, as every time a ruler also changed, even amongst the Muslims. Now, that also adds to your ethnic mix, Okay, if you want to talk about pure unadulterated Indian race or ethnicity, these are the Dravids. Okay, which you can actually find if you want to really know what a Dravid is. Go to the south of India. Those are bona fide Dravids. Okay, in the north of India, you will find a lot of mixed ethnicities because, again, the mixing of the Iranians, of the Arabs, of the Mongolians, of the Turks, of the Afghans, these are all the different, again, predominantly the Aryan ethnicity or the Aryan race with various different, again, ethnicities. Like you have the Mughals are basically, they were a mixed race of the Turks and the Mongols, and neither the Turks nor the Mongols accepted them as their own, so they just became a completely new nation on their own, a new ethnicity on their own. Okay, so as I said, because India was ruled by many different nations, but predominantly because they were all Muslim nations, but they belonged to different ethnic groups again. Okay, this is why the north of India and Pakistan have a very, very large mixture of different races as well as ethnicities. Okay, and I also mean races, yes, because in our blood you will have the Mongolian race, you will have the African race, you will have the Caucasian race, and you will have our own race. So you have all these races mixed, and then you have the different ethnicities mixed. So Pakistan, even within Pakistan, you will see different various ethnic groups. In Punjab, in Sindh, in Balochistan, in KPK, in Gilgit Baltistan, in Kashmir, you will see various ethnic groups. They belong to various ethnic backgrounds. Similarly, in India, okay, and Pakistan, are, despite the different ethnic groups, we are again predominantly Aryans. Okay, and we are also, obviously, we also have the Dravid race mixed in, most of which are those that came from the immigrants from India. Yes, but for that person to now say that, oh, Yasmin Gori is actually Indian because her father was Hyderabadi Indian and he migrated. Okay, now here's where again we need to clear it. Hyderabadis are ethnically not Dravids. It was a predominantly Muslim state, and Hyderabad was one of those states that actually opted to be with Pakistan. It is one of those states that was illegally handed over and remained under India when actually it opted for Pakistan. All the Muslim states opted for Pakistan. Bihar too opted for Pakistan. Biharis in a large majority were Muslims and they opted for Pakistan. So Gujarat, Bihar, Hyderabad, from these three cities, the largest amount of people, you had Assam also, remember? Assam also opted for Pakistan. Now, from a huge influx, or a huge majority, you can say, of immigration occurred from these states. The one of the largest being Biharis, who actually ended up in what is today Bangladesh. Remember, Bangladesh was actually East Pakistan. And the Biharis, when East Pakistan separated itself from Pakistan, thanks to the joint efforts of America and India, when Bangladesh finally separated, it became Bangladesh. And the Biharis were actually very badly treated in Bangladesh. Let's be honest here. They were really, really badly treated. And as it is historically, most of the Biharis before the partition had already settled in the UK, and so many moved to the UK as well. And very, very unfortunate for them, very, very sad for them that a large population of the Biharis couldn't obtain the Pakistani passport. They left Bangladesh also because they believed that they had voted for Pakistan. So they did not consider themselves Bengalis. They did not consider themselves part of Bangladesh. To them, they were Pakistanis. And so, till date, actually, there's still a large number of Biharis that are still trying that they should get their rightful, that they associate themselves as Pakistanis. They associate themselves with Pakistan. To them, they are Pakistanis. Ethnically, even, they consider themselves Pakistanis. They would be highly offended if you say, oh, ethnically, you're Indian, you're Indian Bihari. They would smack you right across the face. Okay, they identify themselves as Pakistanis. It is very unfortunate that a large number of them are still not able to gain their Pakistani passport. I don't even know what the frack Pakistani government is thinking. They're living in the UK anyway, okay? It's true that we may not be as large as Bangladesh or India, but we are still a big country, and I'm sure we can still afford to give Pakistani passport to our Bihari brothers, and sisters. They're living abroad anyway. What are they saying to you? Anyway, point being, Hyderabadis, ethnically not Dravids, especially not those who migrated here to Pakistan, not those who, the Muslims, again, the Muslims. If you look at a Hyderabadi, if you check out their, ethnicity, then I do not think they would be very happy if you try to tell them that they were ethnically Indian. Okay? So, yeah. I mean, if you go around this way, ethnically we're all Indian. But again, you cannot even say that we're ethnically Indian because India is made up of multiple ethnicities. We all have our own ethnic backgrounds. India has always been different states of different ethnicities that were put together as one country by the Mughals, and they were ruled as one country by the Muslims. And then the British came, and then obviously India had to break up because I think it was only the Muslims who could rule the whole of India and put it together as one state. I don't think anybody else had that competence or even the intention, because as I said, the British intentions were basically to loot and plunder and break up India in any case. They have broken up every single country they've been to, which just tells you the intentions of the Europeans. So, whenever an Indian always tries to make everything and anything about India, it does piss everybody off, okay? It will piss everybody off. It's just like how the Indians and the Israelis have this in common, and that is why the world gets pissed off, okay? Not everybody is an Indian, and India does not have one ethnicity. The original Indian ethnicity is the Dravids, and they are predominantly in the south of India. You wouldn't even find them in not purely in the north of India either, because the north of India is a mixed bag of Aryans and Dravids. Pakistan is again a mixed bag of so many ethnicities, again mainly Aryans and Dravids. Okay? So you cannot say that, no. Especially again, if we go back to history, the Indus civilization is not even a part of that part of India. The Indus civilization is where Pakistan is now. The oldest civilization that India is always harping on about, it is Pakistan's history. It's not India's history. And that is why when the two-nation theory was posed the first time round and again, it was all about the fact that this part, which is now Pakistan, was always ethnically separate from India. That was the argument. That was always the argument, at the beginning and at the end of the two-nation theory. It wasn't just about the religions. It was also them proving a point that if you look at it properly, historically, civilizationally, ethnically, we've always been very different. We've always been separate nations anyway. And that is how the arguments, one way or the other, always came about too. So, similarly, Israelis are not Arabs. I'm sorry, they're not. They're Europeans. Okay? They spoke Yiddish. They just decided to go and speak Hebrew and become bona fide. No. Every single thing about the Israelis is a fabrication. Okay? It's a lie. And I really, really would like it if people would actually go and read the real history. You don't want to read it. You're more, you're more prone to using the internet. The internet is filled with lies, yes, but you know what? The internet also has the truth. Can you please go on the internet then, if you're so fond of it, and actually check out the real history? This is not even a secret. Again, it's weird how this is something that the whole world is aware of, apart from the Europeans and the Americans. The very people who made up this whole story, their own publics are so stupid that they're not even aware of it. How can you not recognize your own race, by the way? You're always talking about, actually the ethnicities and the nationalities and this, and you don't even recognize your own bloody race. Seriously? You cannot see that the Israelis are Europeans? What is wrong with you people? You people, there's something so wrong with you. The moment you talk, the Americans and Europeans and the Indians. The moment you people talk, it's like, what is wrong with you? Please, gain some sense. Just learn, just get an education, okay? Just get an education, please. Don't just scroll through your stupid reels and say, oh, this is history. No, go and study your history properly. I'm getting pretty fed up, of this. I'm really getting fed up of how the people keep on and on parroting the false narratives generated by the European Yiddish speaking Jews who call themselves Israelis, and the Indians, who, according to them, the whole concept of 02 was started by Indians. Like, are you serious? The whole world and his wife knows that it was this, the whole concept of 02 was by the Arabs. It's like Jada. Yeah, it was Jada Smith, wasn't it? It was like her and her stupid movie that she came up with. Oh, just because she's Black American, so she decided that, because Egypt is in Africa, so Egypt, was there. Actually, the whole history of Egypt too is that they're all blacks. Are you crazy? Again, this is something that is pre-biblical times. Pre-biblical times, even before the biblical times, the whole world knew even then that Egypt was not all blacks. These are the native Egyptians, these Middle Eastern looking, which we call Berber, the Berber nation, yeah, which are white, light skinned, yeah. They are also natives of certain parts of Africa, that whole belt of Africa that leads all the way to the Middle Eastern belt. That whole African belt, their natives are the Berber nation, and their natives are light skinned, okay? They're not all black. Africa is a huge continent. What the hell made you think that it had to be 100% black? Asia is a whole continent. Are we all Mongolians, or are we all Indians by that definition, or are we all Arabs? What's wrong with you? Asia is one continent with different races and ethnicities. What the hell made you think that Africa would have only one race? You crazy? Yes, Africa is predominantly black, but it's not 100% black. No. That just shows, it just shows the kind of education you're receiving out there in the West. Seriously, it shows the quality of education you're getting there when you don't even have the common sense to know something that the whole world knows. As I said, it's always the case. I've noticed the whole world knows something, but then the Americans and the Europeans, they just drum up some new fantasy and then they say, oh no, this is the truth. And the whole world is like, what? Where do you people live? Get an education, please. And Indians too. I am so disappointed. What happened to you people pretending to be that you're the next superpower and that you have a civilization and that you have a history? All I'm seeing again, especially the India of Modi, all I'm seeing is them again fabricating their history, changing the whole narrative. The amount of times you have changed your history, seriously. That is just pathetic. That is pathetic. How can we make progress if we do not own our history? We in Pakistan, we own our shameful history. We continue to own our history, both the good and the bad. Yes, we have had shameful history. We never let our army forget it. We never let ourselves forget it. Even though we were also the victims, but we never allowed the army to play the victim card in front of us. We blamed them still, you know? But the Americans are rewriting history. The Jews are rewriting history. The European Jews who call themselves Israelis, they're rewriting history. The Indians are going around rewriting history. What's wrong with you people? Get a grip already. You can never, ever, ever make progress if you do not learn from your history. If you do not learn from your mistakes, if you do not own your mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. You need to own them, you need to fix them. It's what you do after that, That's what matters. It's like Germany. Germany worked its ass off to own its mistake, and it worked so hard to steer clear of it. And then the Americans came, and the same Jews who accused Germany of victimizing them, those same Jews now forced Germany to once again become Nazis 2.0, which are Zionists. There is no difference, in my opinion, and even in my book, between the Zionists and the Nazis. They're exactly the same. And the Indian are Nazis. And then you've got the German Nazis. And then you've got now the Zionist Nazis. You've got all of them. And now you're the same Zionists are forcing the Germans to become Nazis again in the form of Zionists. So once again, Germans are going to be on the wrong side of history. Amazing. What have you learned? Seriously, you worked so hard to get out of that, only to go back into that. What the hell are you people doing, seriously? The European race is the weirdest race ever on earth, really. They're the weirdest, most idiotic people I've ever seen, come to think of it, politically speaking, historically speaking, as a civilization. When you look at them, I mean, all they're doing is just mass producing lies. Throughout history, that's all they've done. And now you've got the Indians following suit. Seriously? What's wrong with you? Well, I've had enough anyway, and this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.